G'day. Welcome back to another one of these. I know this is a little bit late compared to the other ones that I've been doing that have been straight after the game, but you know how it is, life gets in the way. But I'm here now, and I'm going to go through my observations of Game 5, because this was definitely the best game of the series, and that ending was just absolutely insane. To be fair, I was pissing myself laughing the whole time, just of how comical it was. But it was definitely a bit heart-wrenching for the Lakers. But it was just so funny. I'll get to it a little bit later on, but I just really wanted to start this by saying that I thought that ending was absolutely hilarious. But I'm going to go just straight into things I noticed during the course of the game. And I'm going to start with this Lakers team, which was very much defined by two things. One, the supporting cast was not very good tonight. They just weren't. And AD's injury is a bit of a concern. So I'll start off with this supporting cast that LeBron and AD are surrounded with. And during the whole season, even not even just these series and the playoffs and whole, they've been very hit and miss. And it seems to be the defining factor of this team's bench, as well as the surrounding pieces, is that they're either amazing and they do everything very well, they defend and they shoot the three, which is the main function that a lot of these players are there for, to open the floor for Anthony Davis and LeBron James to dominate like they do. And this game, they just weren't doing that. I mean, you've got Danny Green just being Danny Green. Being a Spurs fan, I have nothing but love for the man, but he's bad. He's just straight up bad. And we'll get to that last shot, like I said before, later on. But my God, he's so bad. The only thing he can really do now is bring defense. And if that's all he's going to bring, there's a lot more efficient defensive players than Danny Green is now, especially considering he's on, I think it's around a $15 million contract. But just to put this into perspective, LeBron and AD scored roughly 63% of the points and shot combined 66.7% from the field. That's very impressive. And it's sort of the efficiency you don't really expect, but the percentage of points isn't that surprising, because they're the two focal points of the offense. They're two prolific scorers, etc., etc. But the rest of the team scored in total 40 points on a 30.4% shooting. That's bad. And you can just see it through the course of the game. The person that I generally noticed a lot more than others was KCP's defense. KCP isn't an elite defender, but he's definitely a strong defender. And he's someone that you wouldn't mind guarding a good player. But he just got absolutely exposed by Duncan Robinson, who went off for a career game. And he was phenomenal, and it looked like he couldn't miss a lot of the time. But there were so many instances where he just wasn't guarding him. And Duncan Robinson isn't an explosive athlete. He's I don't want to diminish his greatness, but he's a shooter. And that's all he does. He's a great, phenomenal shooter. And if you know that your opponent just wants to go for that, if you're a good defender, you should be able to at least slow that down. But a lot of the times, KCP just didn't know if he should go over or under screens. And you're guarding someone in the finals. This is something that you should be learning. The Heat do. They always try to go through the screens, under them, to make sure that they still guard their man, because they're trying not to switch. Whereas these guys, there was one instance where Caruso and KCP ran into each other, which then gave Duncan Robinson one of the daggers that he shot late in the game. He shot 7 from 13 from three-point land. You can't let him do that. And it was across the board. A lot of these Lakers supporting people were just doing nothing. You got KCP shooting 3 from 8. I mean, that's not bad, but you just sort of expect more. I mean, Kyle Kuzma 0 from 4, Markieff Morris 0 from 2, Caruso basically did nothing offensively. He definitely was a strong defensive presence as always. I mean, he wasn't amazing or anything, but he was still a strong defender, a strong presence. I mean, Rajon Rondo did nothing, continues to be these past couple games, just a fairly non-existent offensive threat. The supporting cast just didn't really do anything. I mean, in total, KCP shot 6 from 15. Why is KCP shooting the same amount of times as Anthony Davis? And I get Anthony Davis was injured, so he may have been a little bit more passive later on. But there's no reason that Anthony Davis and KCP should be having the same amount of shot attempts in the game. I mean, that's a red flag when you're looking at a box score. Then we're going to move on to just sort of this this weird style of play that the Lakers were doing. And as I said before, they seem to be they either fit the roles perfectly or they don't fit them at all. And the ball movement around the halfway point of the game, there was a lot of instances where it was absolutely crisp and perfect and it was hitting every single person that it needed to be, and they had an open shot and they'd shoot. And it appeared to be most of the time they'd miss unless LeBron James was shooting. But they just kept on either throwing the ball to the wrong person, throwing the ball to Jimmy Butler, who had 5 steals, or they'd just throw it to someone who was already being guarded, so then the whole offense would come to a screaming halt and they'd have to reset and figure out what the hell they're doing. It just didn't... nothing they were doing for a lot of the time was working, or it was working beautifully, and there was no in-between. There was no okay possessions. It was always perfect or bad, and a lot of the times it was more bad than perfect. So that was definitely one of the reasons why this Heat team was able to grind out this win. And I'm going to move back onto the Heat and what they were able to do. And I think Jimmy Butler this postseason is cementing himself as having one of the greatest finals performances of all time. And it's purely from force of will, which is amazing to watch. I mean, he had yet again another triple-double. He was incredibly efficient. He didn't miss from the line. He was everywhere on the court. I mean, one of the sites I use is Cleaning the Glass, which is this phenomenal statistic website that tries to make it a little bit more easy to understand. And one of the big things they do is that they put performances in sort of statistics and advanced analytics and all this type of stuff into individual percentiles. So for this game, Jimmy Butler had his highest usage rate of the season. He had his highest points per shot attempt for this season. He had his highest assist percentage of the season. He had his highest assist rate on all the makes from his team. He had the highest offensive rebounding, the highest defensive rebounding, and the highest steal percentage. I mean, this man is just bringing out his best basketball right now. And this is superstar level production that he's been able to do on the highest stage. And if that's not all-time talent, then I don't know what is. I mean, during his career, he's been good. He's been a good player. He's been an all-star. He's all defensive. He's carried teams. He's always been a good player, but he's always teetered on that great. Like he was never always like, oh, he might be the best player, or he's an MVP, all these type of conversations. But now he's out here playing some of the best basketball that the finals has ever seen, and it's beautiful to watch. And I'm just going to bring this back to a little bit of an audience thing, is that these finals have some of the lowest audience ratings ever, and I think people are really missing out on the bloody amazing series. It's been fantastic to watch this Heat team go up against this Lakers team, because they're both just so well coached, and it's amazing. But going back to the more individual performances, Kendrick Nunn last game was atrocious and was playing like, I mean, honestly, he was playing like someone was playing 2K, and they were just running. They just gave the ball to the point guard and just charged at the rim and just hoped for the best. But this time he definitely played with a lot more poise and a lot more sort of confidence in doing the right thing. He was definitely able to be an integral part of the offense this game. I mean, he ended with 14 points, 6 for 11 shooting, 2 from 4 from 3. He was definitely just a very good, efficient player without needing the ball so much. I mean, he only had a usage percentage of 17.2, which is roughly the average for what he would do. So it's still good to see with a lot lower touches to be very efficient and an integral part of this offense. But the biggest props definitely have to go to Duncan Robinson this game, who was, I mean, outside of Jimmy Butler's excellence, definitely one of the biggest X factors. I mean, he ended the game on 26 points, 18 from 15 from the field, 7 from 13 from 3. It was a very Clay-esque offensive performance. And this kid's definitely got a place in this league, and I think that he's going to, I'd say this now, I reckon he's going to be probably one of the best shooters that we've ever seen. Just from this season alone, he's broken the Heat's all-time 3 points in a season record. I think he was leading the league in percentage for a while during the season. This kid, I'm very excited to watch him develop in this league and see where he sits all-time in shooting. But another thing that this Heat team continued to do, they were able to keep Anthony Davis in his mid-range territory. AD did eventually start to bully his way in to the paint before being injured. He was definitely visibly injured. But before that, guys like Iguodala and Jay Crowder continued to push him into this mid-range game, which a lot of the time AD has been able to make them sort of suffer from. But you'd rather live with AD shooting a mid-range than basically having a 80% chance to score at the rim. So it's definitely the smarter option, even if AD continues to be quite efficient from the mid-range. They do continue to sort of just push him out into that sort of no man's land that not many people really play much offense in anymore in this new era of basketball. But all in all, this was a brilliant game. I mean, the biggest thing that for me was that it ended up being sort of a slugfest between LeBron James and Jimmy Butler. I mean, Jimmy Butler I think he only didn't play 49 seconds the whole game. And whilst it's very commendable, I am a slightly bit concerned about how he's going to bounce back from playing so intensely for so long, because I think he's turning into that age-old saying of the candle that burns twice as bright burns for half as long. So I'm a little concerned. I mean, he's running around like a headless chicken, and there's got to be an end to it sometime. He's not built in a lab. I mean, even LeBron, who I always say is built in a lab, he has never been able to have this level of intensity for so long. Like, I don't think anyone has outside of, I mean, maybe Wilt Chamberlain with his like 48.5 minute season averages. Like, it's not viable for a player to play this much and at this level without burning out. So I am slightly concerned for an energy level perspective, but we'll just have to wait and see. So now we're gonna move on to this final possession, because what the fuck? I've tried not to swear much on these things, but what the fuck? That was probably the funniest last two possessions that I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of things of people saying that LeBron doesn't have killer instinct, and LeBron, like Jordan would have shot the ball, and I saw Dame on Instagram being like, he made the right play, but I would have gone for it. LeBron James, I hate this weird narrative that LeBron doesn't have this killer instinct. I mean, we all know that he is a clutch player when he needs to be, and he's had moments where he's faltered, but he's had a lot of moments where he's performed and he's gone above expectations, and the expectations for him are enormous. I don't think any professional athlete has had as much weight on their shoulders as LeBron has from critics as well as his own fans. But in this instant, LeBron James made the high IQ play, as he always does, because he's arguably got the best basketball IQ of any player in the history of the league. And he made the right choice to throw it to an apparent three-point shooter in Danny Green, who was as wide open as you can possibly hope to be in any type of sport, let alone an NBA Finals game. But as soon as I saw him throw that pass, for a second, I don't know why, but for a second, I thought he was throwing it to KCP, and I was like, he's going to hit this. Then it dawned on me, that's not KCP, that's Danny Green. And I just went, fuck, he's missing this. And then he shoots it wide open, no one even remotely near him. Clang on the front of the rim. And I just pissed myself laughing. I was like, of course he did. And then they managed to get the rebound. And then Morris, I could see what he was trying to do. I don't know if he could see what he was trying to do, but I could see what he was trying to do. And just yeeted that ball out of bounds. And, LeBron James seems to be on these teams that have these all-time finals moments. He's on that Heat team with the Bosh gets the rebound, Allen for three, bang. It hurts me every time being a Spurs fan, but I can't argue that it's an all-time moment in NBA history. And then you have the Curry to Iguodala blocked by James. Oh, still get goosebumps whenever I hear it. It's an amazing moment, and it's the greatest block in NBA history. And then you go to the sweep from KD and Curry to the Cavs. You have a lot of these situations, but then you have the all-time great J.R. Smith getting the rebound and just running away from the free throw line when he could have just shot the ball and won the game. And that classic shot of LeBron James basically being like, what the fuck are you doing? But this is definitely going to go down as one of them. And I feel so sorry for LeBron because he does everything right, but then gets let down. And, it just hurts, but fuck me, it was funny. It was so good. Just watching that. I honestly wanted the Lakers to win because I wanted LeBron James to get this title. And I wanted it to be 4-1 all the way through. But, that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And as soon as I saw Danny Green get that ball, I was like, nah, there's no way. As once I realized it was Danny Green, not KCP. I was like, that's not going in. Like he shouldn't be out there anymore. Like, he's proven. I get that these players get hot and they get cold. Danny Green is as cold as the people who are still on the Titanic. Like, he's not good at shooting the ball. And he could get hot, sure, but I would not run that risk because he has shown time and time again through this entire playoffs that he can't shoot. He's shooting like 20-something% from three. No. Stop it. Get some help. But anyway, I'm leaving it at that. My prediction for next game is the Lakers are going to come out. LeBron's going to have a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to just basically say, fuck it, I'm going to destroy anything in front of me. And I'm pretty sure the Heat are going to try to game plan for that because you can sort of expect it. But I'm just hoping that AD's all good and healthy and he can go out there so we can have a really good game again. And hopefully we have a game similar to Game 5 because that was an all-time game for me. I just enjoyed every moment of it. It was great, especially with that comedy at the end. But I'll leave it at that. Like and subscribe if you like the video and you want to keep listening to me ramble about absolute crap. With the finals about to reaching its conclusion, I'm going to start going into a little bit more sort of diverse basketball topics, like rankings, top 10s, possible off-season moves. Sort of one thing that I've been working on lately is stock movements for postseason from players this postseason. So I'm going to start developing that and get that out once the finals are over. And I've got a few other things up my sleeve that I'm going to be bringing out. So yeah, comment down below if you've got any sort of your own personal takes on these games. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.